So here is Vivo's new X200 Pro. I'm in Beijing. I've been testing it out now for 24 hours to give you a first look, unboxing, and my experiences of what to expect out of this new Dimensity 9400 flagship from Vivo. So here's our retail packaging. This is the Chinese version. So with the global, we're not going to have this part here, but it'll be more or less the same. Our phone right there. We get our charger, which is 100 watts using Vivo's flash charge type A for it. Nice small compact size. The cable, that's type A to type C, and our SIM tray tool. And great to see that they do include a case, offers good protection for the camera module, and the top and the bottom and the sides and everything. And finally, a little bit of paperwork here. This, of course, being the Chinese version, is in Chinese. Looking at our build quality, so very nice looking phone, very premium. Now it feels hefty. I don't know the exact weight right now just yet, but I'd say easily over 210 grams. And we've got our camera module right here with the new 50 megapixel sensor. Now we don't have a 1-inch type sensor anymore, which I'm a little bit disappointed in, but according to what Vivo stated, that this should be better at HDR and also better in low light. Their partnership with Zeiss does continue, so we have the T-Star coating, 50 megapixel ultra wide, and a 200 megapixel 3.7 times optical zoom camera. That's periscopic. That's the one right there. This looks like we might have a fourth camera module, but it simply states 200 megapixels. A little hard to see, but that's what we get with it. And the module does stick out quite a bit. Now the frame of it, all made out of metal here, feels really nice in hand. And I love the fact that they've gone with a flat screen. So it's an AMOLED panel, 120 hertz. Very good looking screen. So indirect sunlight, even though it is a little bit foggy and there's a bit of smog here, very bright, easy to make out as you can see now. And I love how fluid it is. It's flat. We've got a 32 megapixel camera right here. And this is 6.78 inches. Very nice screen. Optical fingerprint reader? No, sorry, ultrasonic, because look at how quick this is. I just tap it and it works. So the ultrasonic fingerprint reader, they've continued with this. And I can confirm that it works really well. So nice build. Let's have a look more at what we got down here on the bottom. So this will take our SIM tray to nano SIMs. We've got USB 3.1 with video out support, antenna lines, loudspeaker here, loudspeaker along the top. See those antenna lines there along the top as well. And there's no IR transmitter. These are just two little holes ports for the speakers. So it feels really good in hand. And I like the pattern we have on the black. You can see it now in the light. See how that shines there like it's a brush stroke going through it. A little hard to see, very reflective surface, but I think it does look really nice and great. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think it's a good looking phone, or is it too similar to the X100 Ultra and the X100 Pro? Over to the cameras, and I'm shooting here portrait video, which with the front facing 32 megapixel camera is limited to just 1080p. So we do not have 4K with portrait video, only with the rear cameras we get that, with the rear main camera. This is our video, 4K 30 frames per second, our ultra wide camera. It's 15mm, 50 megapixels using electronic image stabilization. Main camera now, 23mm, that new 50 megapixel sensor. Does look steady. 3.7 times optical zoom camera, 200 megapixels now. Unfortunately, it's quite foggy here as you can see. That's affecting the quality a little bit, but we get an idea here of what it's capable of. And 10 times preset. We're losing a little bit of quality now with so much digital zoom, but having such a large sensor being 200 megapixels does help at least. And back to the main camera. So what can these impressive set of Zeiss cameras do? This is our ultra-wide, 15mm. Wish it was a little bit wider. The main camera here, I'm focusing on a Tesla Model Y right in the middle of this shot here. And this is 3.7 times optical zoom now with a 200 megapixel camera, looking very clear. And I'm shooting through a window, which is dirty, mind you, too. This is now 30 times zoom, which is mostly digital, of course. And then I take it up to 100 times now zoom, which I think looks pretty good. You can make out that Tesla badge on the top there. So not bad at all considering how far away I am. I've gone back to the ultra-wide shot just to give you an idea that the zoom potential that this has is phenomenal. Portrait shots in my camera comparison that I have in the channel now, you can also check that out. Very good with this model. So this lady on the bike, I think it looks great. The stitching, this is the 85mm equivalent. So it is using the zoom camera. Portrait shots look good. However, I've noticed because this is the Chinese ROM, even disabling all of the beautifying effects, still is a bit of skin smoothing taking place. Now, this will be different once we get FunTouch OS. You can turn that off completely because even off, it's still on with the Chinese OriginOS ROM. In my camera comparison, I noticed that the zoom shots were ahead of the competition. So if you're really into your zoom photography, portrait photography, you probably want to get hold of this phone because I think it's definitely one of the best out there at the moment for what I've seen from the samples. So I'm only going to show you just a brief few things here. If you want to see all the other photo samples I've taken, it's in the comparison against the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 16 Pro Max, where I think the X200 Pro did very well. So let's jump into that UI and show you just a few things here. So it's running OriginOS version 5. Of course, we're going to get FunTouch with the global version. Now, the performance of this has been very quick and snappy here. So I'm using the apps drawer. You can have just widgets and everything if you want. No lags, no animation stutter that I've noticed at all. And I want to show you just a couple of settings in here too. So Android 15, this is the first time I've had Android 15 on an Android phone, just come out of course. And the first time with this Dimensity 9400. I'll get onto those benchmark scores shortly. So under display here, I want to show you just a few things to point out. The resolution of the phone here. So we're looking at, if you go, and which I've forced it into, the Ultra HD they call it, even though that is not a 4K resolution. So that's 2800 by 1260 is our resolution. You can put it onto Smart Adaption. That is by default there. You have your screen colors that you can adjust. Refresh rate, of course, goes up to 120. There's no 90 Hertz option, but we get the standard 60 or 120. Or you can leave it on the typical, which is going to do that all by itself and scale as it sees fit, depending on the application, of course. So the performance of the UI, everything, as I mentioned, is really good. Very, very smooth here. Animations are looking great. And overall, really nice looking phone here. But let's get into a couple of other things, like, for example, that Antutu score. So take a look at this phenomenal score here we get with Antutu, almost 3 million points. Look at that GPU score. I mean, that's just off the charts there. Phenomenal performance out of the 9400. Now, let's compare that now to the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. You can see how much that's lagging behind. Now, Samsung typically throttles quite a bit their phones there. So I have seen, of course, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 do better, perform a bit better. Look at the storage speeds too as well. Big difference in that. Much higher score here with the Antutu app with the storage benchmark. So the random read access is where the random writes and the random reads just miles ahead of our Samsung. Look at that. So there's a big difference there. And you do notice the performance, it does seem a little bit quicker. Now, to be honest here, if you don't run these benchmarks, you wouldn't really know that this is almost 3 million points it's coming through here. Okay, because in the UI performance, you're not going to see that. It's only when you run these synthetic benchmarks. But I know a lot of people like to see this, so that's why I have included it. So a couple other things to point out with it, that you do have the 1 terabyte of storage, and you're looking around about 983 gigabytes free. So that's a lot of space there. So no expandable storage. You don't get that with flagships anymore nowadays. Bloatware, because this is OriginOS, of course, there's going to be a lot of Chinese apps on board with it. So wait for the FunTouch OS global version when that does release, which won't have so many of these bloatware applications there. And it is on the latest firmware too that I am running. Now with the global version, you're going to have, of course, Google's framework already pre-installed, Play Store, but the framework is there with the Chinese ROM version here, OriginOS, and you can see Google Play Store is here, and I have YouTube installed. Let's open that up. And I'm going to give you a quick little demo of the dual loudspeakers in this, what they sound like. Okay, not bad, but I have heard louder loudspeakers. I think the volume could certainly be improved upon, and hopefully that's just a software thing and they can tweak it up with some firmware updates. As for battery life, with the 6,000 milliamp hour battery, it's looking like we are able to get at least 9 to 10 hours of screen on time out of our X200 Pro, which is excellent. So fantastic battery life. And then charging at the 100 watts with their flash charge, it is going to take just over 30 minutes to fully charge the phone. Okay, so the 24-hour first impressions of this are looking very good. That Dimensity 9400, what a powerhouse. The GPU looks so powerful. Now, in my testing of Antutu, the device did get a little hot, okay? It feels a bit warm, but nothing alarming. It doesn't feel like it's cooking itself. So it's going to be very interesting to see how will the Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 compare to the new Dimensity 9400, of course, now with the AI support. There's AI features built into the X200 Pro and the X200 series as well. So when the global version comes out, I will be really interested to check that out. Of course, that's going to have FunTouch OS. What I've tested now is their OriginOS, which I think is better optimized than the global ROM. And I hope that they can improve that global ROM and make it a little bit more like OriginOS, with, of course, out the localization stuff that you have here. So there's going to be some Chinese apps on there to remove from this, but as I showed you, you can easily install Google Play Store. Just got to get the APK file. The framework is there, and then you're all set up and running, and it's just a matter of removing those Chinese apps, and you've got yourself then a powerhouse of a flagship. So that 50 megapixel camera, no longer a 1-inch type sensor. I'm a little disappointed in that, but the claims are that HDR and low light will be better with this new custom sensor. Of course, we've got the Zeiss T-Star coating, the Zeiss optics. They've borrowed the 3.7 times optical zoom periscopic camera from the fantastic X100 Ultra in this now. So really, why would you buy the X100 Ultra when this has all the camera power that you really need? I do wish that the ultra wide was a little bit wider, the field of view. It's 15 millimeter. I wish it was, say, 14 or even 13 if possible, but it seems they just didn't want to change that there. It's still excellent. And the portrait shots, from what I've seen from my camera comparison that I've just also made, it's in the channel now, between this phone, the X200 Pro, the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, and the Samsung iPhone 16 Pro Max. Definitely class leading and beating those two phones. So make sure you check out the camera comparison. If you want to see more photo samples with this model here, it's a definite watch, I think. And thank you so much for watching my first early 24 hours mini review here of the Vivo X200 Pro, a flagship that's got, I think, a lot of promise here and looking really good. And I love this blue color with that paint stroke design through it. Looks great in the light when it reflects. I haven't shown it that well because it's so gloomy here in Beijing at the moment with the smog and fog that we have, but hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye for now.